The Habsburg monarchy was not one ordinary country with a single language, single parliament, or single national identity. It was a dynastic world, a collection of kingdoms, duchies, counties, crown lands, and inherited territories held together because they recognized the same ruling family. At different moments, people called it Austria, the Habsburg Empire, the Danube Monarchy, the Austrian Empire, or Austria-Hungary. But underneath those names was a much stranger reality. The monarchy was a political patchwork stretching across Central Europe, touching German, Hungarian, Czech, Croatian, Italian, Slovenian, and many other worlds. Its strength came from flexibility. Its weakness came from the same thing. It could absorb many lands, but it struggled to turn them into one coherent state. The story begins in 1273, when Rudolf I of Habsburg was elected King of Germany. At that point, the Habsburgs were not yet the legendary imperial house they later became. Their decisive breakthrough came in 1282, when Rudolf secured the Duchy of Austria for his family. Austria became the dynasty's core possession, the land that gave them a durable base in Central Europe. From there, the Habsburgs built power less through spectacular conquest than through patience, legitimacy, and strategic positioning. They understood that medieval and early modern Europe rewarded inheritance in marriage as much as battlefield victory. By anchoring themselves in Austria, they gained something essential, a territorial home that could survive changing elections, rival nobles, and imperial politics. One reason the Habsburgs became so powerful was their unusually successful use of marriage politics. Maximilian I demonstrated this in 1482, when he acquired the Netherlands through marriage. This was not a minor addition. The Netherlands were wealthy, urbanized, commercially important, and strategically connected to the wider politics of Western Europe. Through dynastic marriage, the Habsburgs could leap across geography and gain lands that armies might have struggled to hold. Their famous strategy was not simply romantic matchmaking. It was statecraft. A marriage contract could redirect trade routes, reshape alliances, and place entire regions under Habsburg influence. This is why the dynasty became associated with the idea that others may wage war, but the Habsburgs marry. The monarchy reached its greatest territorial extent under Charles V, Maximilian's grandson. Charles inherited the Netherlands, the Spanish throne, Spain's colonial possessions, and vast dynastic claims across Europe. For a time, one Habsburg ruler stood at the center of a global political system. His authority touched Iberia, the Americas, the Low Countries, Italian territories, and Central European interests. But this immense inheritance also revealed the limits of dynastic empire. No single ruler could easily manage such distant, diverse lands with different laws, elites, and priorities. Charles V's reign showed both the astonishing reach of Habsburg power and the administrative impossibility of keeping every inheritance under one direct command forever. In 1556, Charles V abdicated, and the dynasty split into two major branches. His son Philip II received the Spanish line, including Spain, colonial possessions, parts of Italy, and the Netherlands. His brother Ferdinand I continued the Austrian line, connected to the Holy Roman Empire and to crowns such as Hungary, Croatia, and Bohemia. This division mattered enormously. It created two Habsburg worlds, one looking towards Spain and overseas empire, the other rooted in Central Europe. The Spanish branch eventually died out in the male line in 1700, while the Austrian branch continued. The split shows that the Habsburg monarchy was never just a simple family estate. It was a network of claims that could divide, recombine, and survive through inheritance rules. The Austrian Habsburg monarchy was a composite monarchy. That phrase is crucial. It means the ruler governed many territories that kept their own laws, privileges, institutions, and identities. The Archduchy of Austria, Inner Austria, Further Austria, the Bohemian lands, Hungary, Croatia, and other possessions were not automatically merged into one centralized nation. They were connected mainly by the person of the monarch and by the Habsburg court. This arrangement allowed the dynasty to govern diverse lands without immediately destroying local traditions. But it also meant that reform was difficult. Every province had its own expectations. Every crown had its own legal memory. Unity existed, but it was dynastic rather than national. For centuries, the Habsburgs were also closely tied to the Holy Roman Empire. From 1438 until 1806, Habsburg rulers almost continuously served as Holy Roman emperors. This gave them prestige, legitimacy, and influence across the German-speaking world. But it is important not to confuse the Holy Roman Empire with the Habsburg Monarchy itself. Many imperial territories were self-governing and were not simply Habsburg possessions. The Habsburg monarch might be emperor, archduke, king, and lord in different contexts, each title carrying different powers. This layered authority made the dynasty powerful, but also complicated. Their influence often depended on negotiation with estates, princes, cities, bishops, and regional elites. Vienna became the symbolic and practical heart of the monarchy, although Prague briefly served as the dynastic capital from 1583 to 1611. Capitals mattered because this monarchy was held together through court culture, administration, patronage, and access to the ruler. A noble from Bohemia, a Hungarian magnate, an Austrian official, or a military commander from the frontier might all look toward the Habsburg court for favor and authority. Vienna was not merely a city, it was the mechanism that helped bind the patchwork together. The court translated dynastic rule into daily politics. It distributed offices, coordinated diplomacy, managed war, and turned the family's claims into a functioning imperial system. The Habsburg lands expanded not only through marriage and inheritance, but also through conflict with the Ottoman Empire. Hungary became especially important in this struggle. After 1526, the Habsburgs gained claims to Hungary, Croatia, and Bohemia, but much of Hungary became a contested frontier between Habsburg and Ottoman power. Over time, Habsburg conquests at the expense of the Ottomans enlarged the monarchy and shifted its center of gravity eastward and southeastward. This gave the dynasty a major role in the defense and reorganization of Central Europe. It also added more peoples, religions, languages, and regional interests to an already complicated structure. Expansion increased power, but it also deepened diversity. In 1804, the Habsburg monarchy was formally unified under the title of the Austrian Empire. This was partly a response to the changing European order during the Napoleonic era. 2 years later, in 1806, the Holy Roman Empire disappeared. The Habsburgs now needed a clearer imperial identity separate from the old medieval framework. The Austrian Empire gave the dynasty a new formal container for its many lands. But a new title did not erase old tensions. The monarchy still contained territories with different histories and political expectations. The imperial label helped present unity to the outside world, while inside, the state continued to balance central authority against regional privileges and national identities. The greatest internal compromise came in 1867, when the empire became Austria-Hungary. The Austro-Hungarian Compromise created a dual monarchy. Austria and Hungary were linked under one ruler, but each side gained its own political structure in many domestic matters. This arrangement stabilized the monarchy after serious pressure, especially from Hungarian demands. Yet it also revealed the empire's central problem. If Hungary could demand recognition, what about Czechs, Croats, Slovenes, Slovaks, Romanians, Poles, Italians, and others? The compromise solved one crisis by elevating one major partner, but it left many other groups dissatisfied. Austria-Hungary became a brilliant constitutional balancing act, but one that required constant maintenance. The monarchy finally collapsed in 1918 during the final phase of World War I. Military defeat exposed the fragility that had always existed beneath the dynasty's surface. Once the imperial center could no longer promise victory, stability, or protection, national movements and successor states moved quickly. The state of Slovenes, Croats and Serbs, the Republic of German Austria, and the First Hungarian Republic emerged as the old order dissolved. The Habsburg monarchy had lasted for centuries because it was adaptable, dynastic, and skilled at absorbing difference. But in the age of mass nationalism and total war, a family-based composite empire could no longer hold its political universe together. Its end reshaped Europe. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.